Welcome to the Health Headliner podcast by Tudu Digital. Our content is informational only and not medical advice. Please consult your provider. Now, let's dive into today's headlines.
Okay, so we all know that feeling, right? Like that rumble in your stomach after like a big meal. The relief of, going after holding it in for too long.
Yeah.
It's all thanks to our digestive system working its magic. But have you ever really stopped to think about like the incredible network of nerves that are controlling this intricate dance of digestion?
It truly is a marvel.
Yeah.
This second brain in our gut that we often talk about.
Yeah.
The enteric nervous system is a fascinating world we're only beginning to understand.
Yeah, and that is precisely what we're diving into today. In this deep dive, we're focusing on a groundbreaking new study that sheds light on a particular type of neuron in the enteric nervous system, glutamatergic neurons.
Right.
These neurons use glutamate, a neurotransmitter that plays a crucial role in our brains. And as it turns out, it's essential in our guts too. So we'll be exploring the actual scientific paper titled Enteric Glutamatergic Interneurons Regulate Intestinal Motility,
Oh, wow.
published in the journal Neuron,
Nice.
as well as some insights from a related health news article.
So by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a whole new appreciation for how these glutamatergic neurons help keep things moving in our digestive system and the potential implications for gut health.
All right, so let's unpack this a little bit. We've mentioned the enteric nervous system, or ENS, but for those who might not be as familiar with it, could you give us a quick overview of what that is?
Absolutely. So imagine the enteric nervous system as this vast communication network lining your entire gastrointestinal tract.
Wow.
It's made up of these various types of neurons, each with specific roles, kind of like specialized workers in a factory.
So instead of assembling cars, they're processing food.
Exactly.
Okay.
You have sensory neurons that act like these little taste receptors, detecting the composition of what's in the gut. Then you have motor neurons, which control the muscles, telling the gut, how to contract and move food along. And bridging these two are interneurons, these crucial communicators relaying messages back and forth.
So it's like this intricate network of communication that's keeping everything running smoothly.
Yeah.
Now, where do these glutamatergic neurons that we're kind of focusing on in this episode fit into all of this?
That's the mystery the study really set out to unravel.
Okay.
And they used some cutting-edge techniques to do so. They combined immunohistochemistry, which allows researchers to visualize specific cells and proteins with genetic labeling to track the activity of certain neurons. And get this, they even used optogenetics.
Optogenetics, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It kind of is. It's this revolutionary technique that uses light to control the activity of neurons. In this case, they used it to directly stimulate the glutamatergic neurons and observe the effects.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool, all right?
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did they find? Did this study reveal any big aha moments about these neurons?
It did. One of the first discoveries was that there are these two distinct types of glutamatergic neurons in the gut.
Okay.
One type, called longitudinal descending interneurons, are found throughout both the small intestine and the colon. The second type, called circumferential neurons, are found only in the colon. And get this, each type has its own unique shape.
So two distinct types with different jobs and different appearances.
Yeah.
This is getting interesting. What else did they learn about what these neurons do?
One of the most surprising findings was that these longitudinal descending interneurons can send signals across incredibly long distances in the gut. This really challenges our previous understanding of the enteric nervous system,
Right.
where communication was thought to be primarily local.
Hold on, long distances.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just chatting with their neighbors, these neurons are sending messages across the entire gut.
Pretty much.
That seems like a really big deal.
It suggests a much more integrated and coordinated system than we previously imagined. Think of it like this. Instead of individual departments working independently, imagine the entire factory operating in sync because of clear communication lines spanning the entire facility.
Wow, that's a great analogy. Okay, but if these glutamatergic neurons can communicate across such long distances, what exactly are they saying? How do they actually influence digestion?
To answer that, the researchers conducted what's known as a knockout experiment. They bred mice that lacked glutamate signaling in specific neurons called enkephalin neurons.
Enkephalin neurons, remind me what those are again.
Yeah, enkephalin neurons are another type of interneuron in the gut known to be involved in a variety of functions, including pain sensation and, importantly, controlling the movement of food through the digestive system.
Okay, so by removing glutamate signaling in these enkephalin neurons, they could see how glutamate normally affects digestion.
Precisely. And what they found was fascinating. The mice without glutamate signaling in their enkephalin neurons had significantly faster gut transit times.
Oh, wow.
In other words, food moved through their digestive systems much more quickly than the control mice.
So it seems like glutamate plays a role in kind of slowing down digestion, ensuring things move at a proper pace.
Yeah, exactly. It's like glutamate acts as this brake pedal, preventing things from moving too quickly through the digestive system. And remember those optogenetics experiments I mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
They provided even more evidence to support this idea when the researchers directly stimulated the glutamatergic neurons in isolated colon tissue. They observed an immediate increase in the propulsion of an artificial fecal pellet.
So stimulating these neurons sped things up, showing they are actively involved in controlling the speed and movement of digestion. That's incredible. I'm starting to see why this study is such a big deal. It's like we're uncovering this whole new layer of control in our digestive system.
Absolutely.
But this is just one part of the study, right? What else did the researchers look at?
Well, they also investigated how these glutamatergic neurons interact with other types of neurons in the enteric nervous system. It turns out they're quite the social butterfly.
Oh.
They found glutamatergic neurons communicating with a diverse range of neuron types, including calretinin neurons.
Calretinin neurons, what do those do?
Calretinin neurons play a crucial role in controlling the rhythmic contractions of the gut muscles that propel food along the digestive tract. It appears that glutamatergic neurons can modulate the activity of these calretinin neurons, fine-tuning the movements of the gut.
So it's not just about speed, it's about coordination and fine-tuning as well.
Yeah.
This is getting increasingly complex, but also incredibly fascinating.
Right.
But I have to ask, why should we care? What are the real-world implications of all of this?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
This research opens up all these exciting possibilities for understanding and potentially treating digestive disorders. Think about conditions like irritable bowel syndrome,
Right.
which affects a significant portion of the population and involves a whole range of uncomfortable symptoms like abdominal pain, bloating, constipation, and diarrhea.
Right. And as you mentioned before, the causes of irritable bowel syndrome are still largely a mystery, and treatment options are often limited.
Exactly. But now we have this new piece of the puzzle, glutamate. It's possible that disruptions in glutamate signaling in the enteric nervous system could contribute to irritable bowel syndrome or other digestive disorders.
Right.
Imagine if we could target these glutamatergic neurons to develop new, more effective treatments for these conditions.
That would be huge for so many people. But it's important to remember that this study was conducted on mice, right? We need to be cautious about extrapolating these findings to humans just yet.
Absolutely. That's one of the limitations of this study. More research is needed to confirm whether these findings apply to humans. And while they did identify these two types of glutamatergic neurons, we still don't know everything about them.
Right.
Further research could delve deeper into the role of those circumferential neurons, which remains somewhat of a mystery.
So while this study provides some incredible insights, there's still so much more to explore. It sounds like the world of glutamate and the enteric nervous system is just starting to open up.
Yeah.
But even with these limitations, I'm already thinking about what this research might mean for my own gut health.
I know what you mean. It really makes you stop and think about the incredible complexity of our bodies and how much we still have to learn.
Speaking of learning, you mentioned earlier the connection between the enteric nervous system, gut bacteria, and overall health. There's been a lot of talk about the gut-brain axis lately. Could you elaborate on that a bit more?
Of course. So the gut-brain axis refers to this bidirectional communication between the gut and the brain, which involves a complex interplay of nerves, hormones, and the immune system research suggests that the bacteria residing in our gut microbiome can influence this communication pathway and potentially affect a wide range of bodily functions, including mood, cognition, and even immune responses.
So what we eat and the bacteria that thrive in our gut could actually be impacting our mental and physical health. That's a pretty powerful concept.
It is, and this new research on glutamate adds another layer to this complex relationship. It's possible that these glutamatergic neurons in the enteric nervous system aren't just regulating gut motility, but also playing a role in this gut-brain communication.
Wow, this is definitely giving me a whole new perspective on the importance of gut health. But where do we go from here? What are some of the next steps in this field of research?
Well, there's so much we can explore. For example, We need to confirm these findings in humans.
Right.
Researchers could also delve deeper into the specific roles of those different types of glutamatergic neurons and how they interact with other neurons and the gut microbiome. There's also the question of how environmental factors like diet and stress might influence glutamate signaling in the gut.
It sounds like a wide-open frontier of research with the potential to revolutionize how we think about and treat digestive disorders.
I think so.
It really is remarkable to think about all these intricate processes that are happening inside of us that we're often completely unaware of.
Yeah,
So much going on, like beneath the surface.
literally.
Yeah. So let's recap a little bit what we've learned today about these fascinating glutamatergic neurons and their role in gut motility.
Okay, so we've seen how these neurons, specifically the longitudinal descending interneurons, can communicate across these long distances in the gut,
Right.
coordinating activity in ways we didn't fully appreciate before.
Yeah.
They seem to act like this braking system, ensuring that things don't move too quickly through the digestive tract. And we also explored how disruptions in this glutamate signaling could potentially contribute to conditions like irritable bowel syndrome.
It's amazing to think that these tiny neurons can have such a huge impact on our overall digestive health.
It is.
It really highlights the interconnectedness of our bodies and how even these seemingly small changes at the cellular level can have these ripple effects throughout our systems.
For sure.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, I
Mhm.
want to leave our listeners with a thought.
Okay.
We've uncovered a lot of exciting new information about glutamate and the enteric nervous system today, but it's clear that there's still so much more to discover.
Yeah.
What are some of the big unanswered questions that you think future research should focus on?
That's a great question. One area that really intrigues me is the potential role of glutamate in the gut-brain axis.
Okay.
We touched on this briefly, but I think there's this whole world of possibilities to explore in terms of how these glutamatergic neurons might be influencing communication between the gut and the brain. Could imbalances in glutamate signaling in the gut contribute to mood disorders or cognitive problems?
Wow.
Could targeting these neurons be a potential avenue for treating these conditions? These are just a few of the questions that I think warrant further investigation.
Those are really fascinating questions, and it makes me wonder if there are things we can do in our daily lives to potentially support healthy glutamate signaling in our gut.
That's a really interesting point. While we need more research to provide definitive answers, it's certainly plausible that lifestyle factors like diet and stress management could play a role. For example, some preliminary research suggests that certain probiotics might influence glutamate levels in the gut. And we know that chronic stress can negatively impact the gut microbiome, which could potentially have downstream effects on glutamate signaling.
So while there's still a lot we don't know, it seems like taking care of our overall gut health through a balanced diet, stress reduction techniques, and potentially even probiotics could be a good place to start.
I agree. It's a reminder that we have more agency over our health than we sometimes realize.
Absolutely. Well, this has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the incredible complexity and power of my own digestive system.
Me too. It's always exciting to explore the frontiers of scientific discovery and see how these findings can potentially translate into better health and well-being for everyone.
Well said to our listeners. If you're interested in learning more about this fascinating topic, be sure to check out the scientific paper and health news article we mentioned. You can find links to those resources in the show notes.
And remember, the world of scientific discovery is always evolving, so stay curious, keep learning, and keep exploring the wonders of your own amazing body.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep those minds curious and those guts healthy.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health Headliner podcast by To Digital. Like and subscribe for more health news and breakthroughs. Stay healthy and informed. See you next time.